treason trial against Dr. Kizza Besigye has entered its second day, with the prosecution's first witness telling the High Court that Besigye and his associate Joe Wakaima allegedly plotted to assassinate President Yoweri Museveni using drones before framing the ADF for the attack. We bring you details of what transpired in court today, and we have so much lined up for you tonight. But first, let's take a look at the top stories.
NTV Tonight.
Brought to you by DFCU. Going further together.
Tonight,
you should be reconsidering the presidential directive of 2021.
Medical interns say their fight for better working conditions is far from over. Demand to meet the president.
Out of patriotism.
The treason trial against Dr. Kizza Besigye has entered its second day, with the prosecution's first witness, American national Andrew Wilson, testifying. Also on NTV Tonight.
Where this option is available, we shall pursue it.
The government has made a decision moving forward that the acquired loans will incorporate the assessed amount for counterpart funding, especially for the compensation of project-affected persons.
So that when we clear the funds, the project is able to move.
And in part 2 of our special report, we take you through the moment Gloria Namandi regained consciousness and slowly began to understand the life-changing condition she had been left with.
DFCU. Going further together.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on NTV Tonight. I'm Betty Mudondo, together with Susan Mujawa and Nanda on sign language. We kick off the bulletin with medical interns that have said their fight for better working conditions is far from over, despite agreeing to report back to their duty stations next week. The interns' leadership says they will continue pursuing an audience with President Museveni to push for their outstanding demands. Walter Mwasiji has the details in this report.
After weeks of uncertainty over their deployment, medical interns are now set to report to hospitals next week. Their decision follows government's commitment to provide each intern with 1 million shillings in net facilitation, while also addressing concerns surrounding the new medical training framework.
Cabinet agreed and resolved, effective this month of August till end of the year, all the doctor internship students, whether private or government sponsored, will be paid the same amount of allowance of 1 million shillings. Until the end of the year, however, the different councils that sit on decision making in relation to issues of interns have been given 7 months to come up with conclusive report and structure on how to finally address these challenges.
But the interns say the government response only addresses part of their concerns. The interns estimate that the cost of living alone can push their monthly expenditure beyond 1 million shillings.
Let's count 10,000 lunch, 10,000 supper. That comes to 25,000 a day. So if you calculate it and put it, multiply it by 30 a month, it gets to 700,000. Then you have to rent a room, accommodation, and that room is between 250 to 350,000. So you get 350,000 plus the 750,000 of meals, and then add transport, maybe between 5 to 10,000 a day. You see that just on meals and transport and accommodation, you have spent about 1.2.
We are meant to report, but without facilitation. We aren't going to be facilitated. People are going to move from one end or corner of Uganda to another corner. Someone is going to move from Barara to Nebi. That distance. They are going to carry their belongings, a bed, a chair, things that someone needs in a house. to that side. That alone involves a lot of money. That can go as far as 250 or 300. I'm approaching $500,000 that I don't even have yet. In other words, it was a loan. I'm going to take a loan to cater for myself for the first 3 months. As you know, the government processes my payments because they come in 3 months.
Despite these concerns, the interns say they cannot continue withholding their services when public hospitals are already struggling with staffing shortages. Following an online meeting with their members, the leadership says the interns resolved to return to work out of what they describe as patriotism and concern for patients. But reporting to work comes with conditions. The interns want government to continue negotiations over their welfare.
You should be reconsidering the presidential directive of 2021. Minimum, if you failed on the issue of the 4 million and what, reinstate that directive. Because number one, that directive was passed and the cohort of that year received that money. So it means that the issue is not that the money is not there. The issue is that, are we a priority? Number two, the policy, address our concerns about the policy, withdraw it. Withdraw that policy. If you fail to withdraw it, we are going to file legal injunctions on the policy. Number three, we want you to consider pay us monthly. If you have read...
For the interns, the latest dispute is part of a recurring problem. They point to previous protests in 2017, 2021, 2024, and now 2026 as evidence that short-term interventions have failed to resolve the underlying issues. They're therefore calling for an audience with President Museveni, arguing that direct engagement could produce a lasting solution. Walter Mwesije, NTV.
And there you have the medical interns with more demands. So tonight we are asking, what is your take on the demands of the medical interns for better working conditions? Talk on our social media platforms and tell us to share your thoughts as well on the demands of medical interns for better working conditions. Be part of the conversation on the different social media platforms. That is NTV Uganda on X, NTV Uganda on Facebook, and we are streaming live on ntv.co.uk. You can also check the link on our YouTube channel. NTV Tonight continues and we head to court where the treason trial against Dr. Kizza Besigye entered its second day, with the prosecution's first witness, American national Andrew Wilson, telling the High Court that Besigye and his associate Joel Wakaima allegedly plotted to assassinate President Yoweri Museveni using drones before framing the ADF for the attack. David Ijo was at court and he now reports.
Stop. According to a medical report presented to the High Court yesterday by Commissioner General of Prisons, Dr. Kizza Besigye was said to be unable to speak, although he remained conscious and capable of following the court proceedings. An assistant superintendent of prisons, ASP Hire, also told the trial judge Emmanuel Baguma that he had briefed Besigye on the proceedings and offered him the option of attending court virtually via Zoom. The prison officer, however, said Besigye declined the offer. The court subsequently granted the prosecution's request for the trial to proceed in Besigye's absence, as well as without his lawyers who had withdrawn from the case citing security concerns.
Friend Mpanga.
And as the second day of the trial got underway today, the prosecution's first witness, American national Andrew Wilson, took the stand and made a series of explosive allegations against the former presidential candidate. Wilson told court that during one of the several meetings he held with Besigye and his associate, Joel Wakaima, in Geneva, Switzerland, the two allegedly disclosed a plan to assassinate President Yoweri Museveni using drones. According to Wilson, the alleged plan was to carry out the attack and then conceal those behind it by attributing responsibility to the Allied Democratic Forces, or ADF rebel group, in order to avoid public backlash.
Yes, the fact about what we were discussing.
But how did the alleged plot come to Wilson's attention? The witness told court that Wakaima first contacted him through an email address on his website. Becoming suspicious of the nature of the request, Wilson said he reached out to a former colleague in Somalia who subsequently connected him to a UPDF general identified as General Otto.
We were discussing fake currency under European law.
Wilson said after sharing his suspicions and liaising with the Ugandan military, he agreed to cooperate with authorities and go undercover. He then allegedly presented himself to Besigye and Wakaima as an agent working for a fiction